Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Everything Entrepreneurship. I'm John Boitnott with this podcast that I do every so often where I talk to entrepreneurs from all over the world about the companies that they're running and their history and their past and their futures and what people can learn from their journeys as entrepreneurs. And today I'm joined by Becky Wall, who is the founder of Plush Flush and the Lou of the Year Awards. Hi, Becky. How are you? Welcome.
Hi, John. Really well, thank you. And yourself?
Oh, I'm doing all right. For me, it's the morning, and I was able to get good sleep last night, so that's always nice. I mean,
Brilliant.
I didn't go to bed at midnight. I went to bed at 10:30 ish, 11, and that extra hour makes all the difference.
Absolutely. Otherwise, you get burnout.
Yeah, you really do. So yeah, sleep is very important. But the Lou of the Year Awards. And Plush Flush. Tell us about yourself, and then tell us about these two companies that you're running.
Okay, so I'm based in the UK. I was brought up on a farm, and over here in the UK, the boys are the ones that sort of get educated. The girls are assumed that they will just go and marry a farmer. Uh,
Mm.
Nothing of what I wanted to do, really. I left college, not been allowed to go to university, was told to go and get a job. So I had to decide what I wanted to do. Um, I went and worked actually for an auctioneer. So I learnt about VAT and account systems and all that sort of thing. And after a while, decided actually I'd like to be doing something for myself. And what actually threw up from there was I was very involved with a rural organisation for young people called Young Farmers. And we basically organised events and ran our county federation for the young people by the young people. So while I was doing that, I was organising a lot of events. Then I met my husband and organised my own wedding and decided actually I wanted to do event management. And at the
Mm.
time I wanted to do event management, there wasn't anything over here for us. So I did a long distance learning course with the University of Florida. And I had friends in Florida that were living there. So I used to come over periodically
Oh,
and come
wow.
and do a little bit. And you in America were far, far in front of us with, massive cake shops and massive things like that. So I got into event management. With that, as I started to do that, I found that outside events, particularly and especially weddings, were not being fulfilled by particularly nice toilets, washrooms, bathrooms, however you want to call them, and decided that maybe we'd have a look at that because I was recommending companies. They were coming in, I was cleaning them, adding things to make them special, and thought, do you know what? There's a niche here that we're missing. So after attending a friend's wedding when my husband was best man and said toilets that we'd hired in broke down and people didn't come to fix them, even though we were calling them, we decided to go into luxury mobile toilets. So that's when a Plush Flush was born. And that's 20 years ago.
Wow. So 20 years entrepreneur, and you've been coming back and forth with Florida for how long? Just
Oh well,
for
that was right at the beginning. That was about 25 years ago probably, and I did that sort of over 2 or 3 years while I was doing my degree.
all right, yeah. No, but that's just curious as to that. Always interesting to see how much the UK people come over and how if they come over a lot. Plush Flush is something you're still working on, the luxury toilet market, but also
Absolutely.
Lou of the Year Awards.
Okay, so
What is it all about?
we got involved in the Year Awards as entrants in the sort of first 3 or 4 years after we started a Plush Flush, so sort of about 2009, because we were nominated for an award for the sector mobile toilet, mobile toilet bathrooms. So we started to get involved with that and found that that was actually really good for us because it was an unannounced independent inspection where they came and inspected the quality of your toilets and the standards you put them out. And that gave us awards. And with that, we were marketing ourselves more and getting on to blue chip companies like Airbus, which the Americans know about because they're great big planes that are also um, very much involved with the American airlines. Were employing us to go and do all their events. And then
Mm.
people like Heineken, which are well known drinks company. So we did that for quite a few years. And then, of course, 2020 and COVID struck and mobile toilets weren't going anywhere. But
Mm.
the gentleman that owned the Loo of the Year Awards, which has been going since 1987, asked me to go and be an inspector for him, which I jumped at the chance because it gave me some income. But I also knew a lot about the toilets that they were inspecting. So I had a bit of basic training, went out and did it. What I didn't realize at the time, John, is he was dangling a bit of a carrot of, I want to retire and you two lovely with the Year Awards. You keep entering. Would you like to come and buy the company off me and take it further? So
Mm.
Charles and I had a little think about this. That's my husband, and he's also my partner in Plush Flush as well. And we decided that, actually, the Loo of the Year Awards had got a long way to go. It's been going since 1987, as I say, but there was a lot we could do with it, a lot we could bring into this sort of social platforms where he wasn't with the media. And so Loo of the Year Awards has sort of re-evolved since 2021. And basically what it is, it's to raise the standard of all public washrooms, bathrooms away from home. So we are like I don't know whether you have it in America, but in the UK, we have like a food hygiene
Mm.
certificate, and it's rated 1 to 5. So 1's not so good, 5's good. With the Loo of the Year Awards, we do them sort of bronze, silver, gold, platinum, platinum plus. So that's your 5.
Mm.
If you're exceptional, which is only 4% of all entries, they might get a diamond. But to
What,
have a
what
diamond, it's got to be like something special.
what makes you, yeah, what makes you something special in the Lou of the Year Awards?
So there's 101 criteria in the Loo of the Year Awards that you've got to pass, and that is a lot of them are the British standards. So sizes of
Mm.
cubicles, how many you must have, whether they've got locks on, what the lighting's like, how safe they are basically to use. But then to get to that extra diamond, you've got to have things like pictures, flowers, amenities, low level facilities for children,
Mm.
extra facilities for those that have special needs. So there's quite a lot to it.
Well, okay, yeah, no. So, and you're telling me that these are like usually at like corporate events, weddings, those types of things. I'm trying to think about my interaction with some of them, and yes, it is nice when you have a when
And
you have
posh toilet. Yeah.
yeah, it's
But so
nice.
the Loo of the Year Awards is grading not just those sort of things. It's got 63 different categories. So it will go from,
Okay,
yeah,
yeah.
so it could be any washroom from your local supermarket to a visitor's attraction, to hotels and venues, to airports, to transport, to even your on the side of the motorway services. It's all about raising anywhere that you go that's not your home toilet, raising that profile. So the categories follow that.
All right. So, as far as businesses that win these awards or do well in these awards, how do you help them? What's the value for those businesses, and how do you sort of help them get that
Okay,
word?
so the value gives them, they get first the independent inspection. So that in itself is something that they can shout about. There is nothing that they can do. The inspection is independent. They don't know when it's happening. It's unannounced. So the person or people that are inspecting come in, tick their criteria, get the marks together, and decide what grading they are. So first of all, that is a plus for them because it's independent. Secondly, their grading. If they're doing really well, they've got a grading certificate then that they can show. They've got logos they can put on websites. They've got something that they can go out with their PR company and shout about. So that starts with the grading. If they've done really well then within England, Scotland, Ireland, and Wales, they may be the top out of each of those countries. They then have a national award to say that they're the top in the category for those countries. And then if they are the overall in those categories, they could walk away with a great big trophy when we do the UK awards. So there's quite a lot of steps. Somebody explained it to me a bit like the FA Football Cup League in the UK. You start at the bottom with all the clubs, and by the time you've done all the kickoffs, the quarterfinals, the semi-finals, you get the winner. Little bit like that with us, really. There's several stages to it.
All right. So, as a bathroom expert, as a loo expert, what are your favorite What makes the best restroom to you? What are your maybe top key things? Three
Right.
things on the
Okay.
restroom.
So I think when I go into a washroom or a toilet, first of all, I want to see it light and bright,
Mm.
so that we know we can see it's clean. I like to see sensor flushes, so I'm not touching anything when I'm in there. Uh,
Ah, yes. I love
tissues,
that. Hmm.
tissue in dispensers, so you're only actually pulling the tissue that you're using. You're not touching anybody else's. Uh,
Oh,
Locks on the doors, hooks on the doors. So when I go in, I can put my stuff up on a hook. I'm not going to touch the floor. So
mm.
that's sort of in the cubicle itself. Then when I go out, I like to see sensor taps. So again, I'm not touching taps.
Mhm.
I'm washing my hands under the tap. And then I go to a hand dryer. Again, I'm not touching anything. I've got a bin with a foot thing that lifts the lid, so I'm not touching the lid when I'm putting away my any tissue or any hand towel or anything like that. And then what really would be nice is if we had some sort of automatic door, but that doesn't happen. But at least something where I don't have to touch a handle. To have nice soap, maybe hand creams,
Mm.
good clear mirrors, but feeling something safe. That's how I would explain it.
Yeah, as you describe all these things, I'm going through all the restrooms that I've experienced in different situations, whether it's the massage place I went to, or whether it was the conference I went to, or whether it's the side of the road. So it's interesting. All these things you don't really think about. You just kind of take them as they come in life.
Well, you probably do, but actually, if you think about it, you probably also do my job, but without a clipboard. Because if
Yeah.
you go to a restaurant and those toilets aren't clean, so if you're in the cubicle and you're looking around and those toilets aren't clean, you're going to ask yourself, what are the kitchens like? Because if they can't look after what you can see, what are they doing with what you can't see? And that definitely will be going through your mind, whether you realize it or not. You walk into a washroom, the first thing you do is you start looking around. Um, then I would say any other business, if I'm going to my accountant and when I walk into the toilet, there's no toilet paper or there's no soap and they haven't looked after that section, my thoughts then would be, hang on, what are they shortcutting round in the business they're doing for me that I can't see? Or what should I be looking at? So actually, I believe for any business, and it doesn't matter whether it's, as I say, a white collar business like your accountant or it's a service business, it's important that they get the toilets right. We all need to use them. There is no doubt about that. We've got to drink, we've got to breathe, we've got to use the toilet, we've got to eat.
Yeah.
So it's very important that we get that right so that people are then confident that everything else we're offering them is also going to be right and of a top level. So I think it is really quite important.
No, yeah, no, totally. So for public restroom, well, you would think that this would be something that we would be able to devote enough energy and time and effort to that it wouldn't be so much of an issue out there. But it's obvious that a lot of, especially when it comes to public restrooms, a lot of the restrooms out there are, not up to snuff,
They're
as
not.
we like to say. So, what are some of the reasons why? What are some of the challenges that organizations and agencies out there are, and everyone else are facing as they try to actually deliver a restroom experience that isn't bad?
Okay, I think training, because it's expensive to train people. Um, I think also the actual thought of cleaning toilets. Not everybody wants to be thought of being a toilet cleaner or a washroom cleaner.
No.
Um, I know in this country with public restrooms, a lot of it, when it comes down to councils and things like that, haven't got the funding, and it's not cheap to run. Also, footfall. We don't always know what the footfall is going to be through these places, so sometimes
Mhm.
that's quite difficult to monitor how to keep them clean and tidy and well stocked. And also, again, in this country, I'm not sure about the USA, but homelessness. If we've got homeless people, they tend to
Have
go in
that.
to use and wash and whatever, and that then puts off those that need to clean them or other users, which is a shame. So there's something there that we need to get over and be able to sort, really.
With the lieu of the Year Awards, are you guys? How are you guys addressing some of those issues through the
So
lieu
we
of the?
work with the councils. We work with another association over here called the British Toilet Association, which also works with a lot of charities and with government. And we ourselves at Loo of the Year Awards have been to government and done roundtable discussions about those sort of things, and also about the need for the disabled access and the changing places for those that have got special needs to be more accessible. So we are working with it.
Yeah. How is that conversation evolving? The special needs, the access for folks who traditionally have a tough time. How is that evolving? Is it getting better?
It is getting better. Up until March this year, there has been a large funding programme from the government, and some of the charities have been running that, and we've seen an increase in what we call changing places. Now, changing places is a 12-foot square room that has hoists and benches that move up and down and sinks that move up and down, so that if you've got people in wheelchairs that can obviously not go to a normal accessible toilet or a normal toilet that people use that are not with special needs, they can use these rooms. And we have seen with the extra funding that we've now got about 2,500 across the country, which for us is great, because that means they are now becoming into visitors attraction places, as well as where you would normally find them in shopping centres, places like that. So that also means then that families can go out together, because a lot of the time families don't go out if they've got somebody who's of a very serious special need, because these rooms haven't been available, and that's held everybody back. So it's growing in this country, the changing places. What we are hopefully going to find is that the government will give a second bite of the cherry for us to carry it on. That is some of the reason why we're going back to government and having roundtable conversations, is to try and get a little bit more funding, because 2,500 is great, but when you think how many thousands of washrooms there are all over just our little country, that's only really, again, the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah. For entrepreneurs out there, it's an entrepreneur podcast, getting information on what they can do to run their businesses better. I mean, as I think back to the places that I've worked, that has been an important factor, but it's not the restroom, how great the restrooms are hasn't really been something I've thought about too much, but I'm now seeing in my mind how important it is. It's not usually a topic of conversation that entrepreneurs are, my bathroom spending. Why should that be an important thing that entrepreneurs
Okay,
bring on for their employees?
I think you're right that it has been a taboo subject. I think it should be talked about much more, for the customers and visitors that are coming in, but really importantly for your employees. It's a wellbeing topic.
Oh, yeah.
We find that some of the offices that enter, we go and look at their washrooms, and they are diamond standard. They've got it. They understand that when the staff are sat at their desks for long periods of time, sometimes the only breakout that they have is to go to a washroom. So we've noticed that some of the ones in the City of London have now actually even got like signs, posters on the wall, giving people mindful things to think about to help their well-being, as well as these restrooms being quiet, clean, and having lots of amenities. So when I say amenities, hairbrushes, hairsprays, deodorants, things like that. Sorry.
It's okay.
Things
We love the dog. You
like
want
that.
last. What does he have to say, do you think? Is he mad about restaurant too?
There always a lot to say about restrooms, I think.
Well, that's good to hear that it's the evening hours there in the UK.
It is. Yes.
There might be something going on outside with it or something like that.
Yeah, I would imagine somebody's arrived. So can I have 2 seconds? I'll just put them out the door, and that will shut them out.
Sounds good. Yeah, so I'm currently talking to Becky Wall, an entrepreneur and founder of Plush Flush, and also the Loo of the Year Awards, and an advocate for improving the quality of the restrooms in the United Kingdom and, of course, all over the world. So it's great to have you. Yeah, and
sorry about that.
it's not the first time, and it won't be the last that we've had a dog come along. So let's talk about the Loo of the Year Awards again.
Yeah.
So you've taken it to some impressive heights. You've gotten the word out there that you exist. What's next for Lou of the Year Awards?
So, well, we are really only touching the tip of the iceberg with the amount of entries we've got in. So, at the moment, I'm working with Fiona Scott, PR, who's been absolutely exceptional since last year
She's
in
yeah.
in helping us move forward and getting more acknowledgement from lots of parties. And especially with the press now, which is great. So the idea is to move it forward a lot more, um, get more entries, and then my hope is eventually to move it to other countries,
Mm.
because especially in Europe, they are saying we're working with global sponsors at the moment, which is really good, and the global sponsors are saying, you're so lucky that you've got this happening in your country. We would like it in the areas that we also do business. So that would be my dream eventually, is to finish this in the next sort of few years and getting it in this country back up to where it should be and running, and then looking to move into other countries. The only thing we have with that is that we would have to look to see what standards they've got. So
Mm.
we've worked with our 101 criteria, works from some of the British standards that you have to build to and different things. So that makes it a little bit easier for us to put a list together of what we want to see.
Yeah.
So when we move forward into other countries, we would have to look and see, is that similar, or is there something that we need to, or a group of or association or charities that we need to work together to say, look, this is how we should see public washrooms.
And how should businesses and organizations out there, how can they get involved with the Lou of the Year Awards?
So if they want to get involved with the Year Awards, we have a website, www.lou.co.uk.
Oh, that's great.
So they can pop on there, have a little look at sort of the criteria that we expect, what we can do to help them in return. There are other things we could do. I mean, the inspections and the gradings are sort of the awards a part of it. But if they want help with looking at their restrooms and what they should do with them, we can also do that as well. So there's other services we can offer. But that would be the first point, I think, would be to have a look at that and then get in contact with myself or the awards manager, and discuss, where they want to be, how they want to be involved, and whether it would work for them and with us.
What's the best way to get a hold of you?
Best way to get a hold of me is on LinkedIn or on Facebook. I'm on both. A message on both of those. So I'm on Instagram, but I think LinkedIn is probably the best one for me because I see that those
Mm.
messages coming in quicker and I can answer them. But both those three platforms will have information on of what we do, how we do it, where we're up to, and we'll get answers from me straight away.
Yeah, no, LinkedIn is kind of a curious one in that sometimes I feel like you get the most serious, regular, actual people who could be, the clients that you're interested in talking to, but also you do get that sort of influx of spam that hits you where people are
Yeah,
are
yeah,
trying
you
to.
do. You have to work through it, don't you? But you see, every message that comes in, you have to think about, like you say, because you don't know what's behind it. So it might be a piece of spam, but actually there might be something that's worthwhile going forward with. So I think, from an entrepreneur's point of view, I tend to look at everything, weigh it up, have a little think about where it's coming from, and be careful how I answer it, but
Mm,
never negatively, because you don't know quite what's behind there. So it may
yeah,
be that you answer it back with another question to get a
yeah.
little bit more information from it. But yeah, you have to be careful.
Well, as far as restrooms go, what would be, for, public restrooms worldwide, what would be one thing you would change about them?
What would I change about them? I
One
just
thing you would change.
I just think that the standards, to get those standards higher, would be how they're cleaned and how people are educated. And I
Mm,
think also that goes down to the education of the user as well. So you talked about entrepreneurs not talking about toilets and habits and use and how much they've spent. And I think that's because we've all been educated from a very young age that, it's to do with the parts of the body we don't talk about. Actually, I think we should be talking about it. I think we should be doing it from kindergarten. and as young as that, because when we're toilet training them, we should be teaching them what looks nice, what doesn't look nice in a restroom, and how we should use them and leave them for other people to have nice experiences. And I think that should then be educated through the schools, because in our schools over here, they are restricted to when they can use them and when they can't use them, which I understand to a certain extent means that they are disrupting class if they're getting up and going out to the toilet all the time. But at the same time, we find that a lot of young people start having problems with bladder and bowel when they're at school because they can't use the toilets when they want to use them. And then when they do use them, they're ending up going in gangs, and that's when things don't go well. And I think it all really needs a bit more education and becoming a less of a taboo subject, because if it's not physically affecting them, it will be mentally affecting them.
Definitely. Yeah, I recall one woman I worked with. She just at a grocery store where I worked once. She didn't want to use the bathrooms at the grocery store, and she had to every 2-3 hours go home, which wasn't that far away, fortunately. But sometimes she had to have her husband pick her up because it was maybe too long of a walk. But she wouldn't use the bathrooms at the place because she just couldn't trust the cleanliness of it, and I know that was not healthy for her.
Not
So,
healthy for her. It's also very expensive for the business. It's the same as, we worked with a sponsor 3 years ago who introduced Aunt Flo to us, and you would know Aunt Flo, I think, in America, and it's about
mhm,
free sanitary products. And that was a thing that we've worked with, is period dignity in this country, as Lou of the Year awards. So all those companies that offer free sanitary products and do proper clearing away of those sanitary products can enter the period dignity award. And that, actually, people say, well, it costs the company money to put the products in free. It probably does cost them money. It does cost them money. But actually, if you work out how much money it costs if a member of staff has to leave to go and buy products because they haven't got them with them or whatever reason, that probably costs them more in
mhm,
downtime than it does putting free products into a washroom. And it's the same now with prostate cancer and things like that. We
mhm.
are encouraging the washroom owners to put in proper dispensers to take away the products, but also to have products that are available, because we are seeing men as young as 40 having prostate cancer, and they're still able to work because it's being controlled with drugs, but they don't need the embarrassment of what's
Yeah.
happening in the room, or not having the products with them. So if those products are being put forward, it is also helping the health of those people. It's also stopping the downtime for the business.
Yep. All right, Becky Wall, great to have you on the show. Don't mean to rush you out, but I had a great discussion with you, and it's lovely to talk to you about these
Thank you,
sometimes
John.
Yeah, so it's great to talk to you about these sometimes taboo issues, and but you're doing a wonderful job over there.
Thank you.
Loved having you on to Everything Entrepreneurship. Thank you, Becky.
Thanks, John.
Take care.